Hi there, I'm Annette, and I'm part of the Barn staff at Winkler Bible Camp. This is my testimony of transformation and the work God's done that's completely turned my life around. I grew up in a large family. I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters. We're originally from Russia, but moved out to Germany when I was 5, and that's where I started school. I remember that being a pretty scary experience for me because I only knew a couple words in German, and I felt really lost and alone because I was unable to understand anything or make anybody understand me. Unfortunately, that feeling kept following me for many more years after that first day of school, especially as I got older and started becoming really aware that I was and looked different than all my friends at school. Reason being, I grew up very conservative. My parents attended a church that followed a very specific set of rules. This included things like a dress code, no TV, preferably not even Wi-Fi, and only specific types of music was allowed, among many other things. Church was always number one priority. Anything that got in the way of church activities was discouraged. As a result, I felt like I missed out on a lot of things my friends got to do, such as just hanging out after school or joining sports teams and learning new skills and having fun. I was always taught that anyone who didn't look like us and didn't follow our rules could in no way be a Christian and was going to hell. As a kid, I just accepted this because I didn't know any different, and God always seemed very scary to me. We hear a lot about the end of the world at church, and we're constantly warned that we should always be ready because Jesus could come back any day, and if you just happened to be doing something wrong at that moment, you would be left behind. I remember I'd often have trouble falling asleep at night because I was just scared that Jesus was going to come back and leave me behind because there was no way I was good enough. When I was 8, my family moved out to Canada, and here is where a lot of my confusion regarding Christianity and faith really began. Because around this area, everybody said they were Christian, and I just couldn't understand why my friends at school didn't have to live the way I did, even though we all read the same Bible. But I was just told that no, they weren't actually real Christians, or they would do what the Bible actually said. In grade 6, I had a teacher who made a really big impact on me. She was very open about her faith with us, and was just a really kind, happy person. She inspired me to dig deeper and do some research of my own, because I just couldn't believe she wasn't a genuine Christian, or that God disapproved of her life. I started doing a lot of reading online and watching videos on certain topics, and I found out that what my church was teaching was actually legalism, which just means that they believed that our relationship with God was entirely dependent on us and the works that we do, and how good we are. I also found out that the Bible didn't actually contain any of the rules that we were made to follow. However, when I brought some of these things up, it wasn't received well at all, and I was told that I was being disobedient and becoming a fake Christian. I never spoke up about anything after that, and I just kept everything to myself. Over time, I developed pretty bad depression and also extreme social anxiety in high school, because I would always try to hide and avoid social interaction because I felt out of place. I didn't know what God wanted me to do with what I'd learned, or if He wanted me to do anything at all. I felt completely useless and like my life had no point. I was pretty angry at God for a long time. I genuinely thought I'd forever be stuck in this church against my will, and that there was no way out. But really, it was fear holding me back. Fear of what people would say if I left, and also fear of stepping out of my comfort zone, because I was used to hiding and not drawing any attention to myself my whole life. But through all this, I felt that God was continuing to draw me to Him, and was just waiting for me to trust Him and take the first step. It took me many years, but in 2020, I finally gathered up the courage and started visiting a different church with a good friend of mine. However, that made things difficult at home between me and my parents, especially my dad, and I started praying for an opportunity to leave, but where I'd still have plenty of support and could grow out of my social anxiety and fear of people's opinions of me. Enter Winkler Bible Camp. Getting a job here was really just a huge God thing. I was able to move out of my parents' house at just the right time. God has since used this place and the people I've met here and has completely changed my life. I've learned that it's when you step out of your comfort zone and when you feel totally incompetent that God shows up in big ways. It hasn't been easy in any way, but it just felt like God has been so patient and kind to me while I try to figure out who I am. In the past year, I've experienced the incredible freedom that comes with having your own personal relationship with Jesus. Done.